folks, this is the Halfling of the Halfling and Spaceman, and we are here doing a little catching up. We have with us, she stopped by, P.A Cornell, and P.A is a friend of the show. First came on back in February of 2023, so I'm sure we'll have plenty to catch up on. Um, she is a speculative fiction writer, lover of tea and Legos, or at least she was at the time. I don't know if any of that's changed. We will find out. But welcome back, PA. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. It's so great to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. So tell us, catch us up. What has been going on?
So much since I last saw you.
I
I think,
I have been kind of keeping up with things.
yeah. I think last time I talked to you, I had my debut novella was out.
Uh huh.
Um, that book has since gone out of print temporarily, I like to say, because I do plan to bring it back at some point. So, but it's gone
Okay.
now. But I have a new book that just came out. That's this one here. It's called "SHOESHINE Boy and Cigarette Girl," and it's
Mm-hmm.
a novelette. It's a retrofuturistic novelette. Um, it's actually I call it a retrofuturistic noir love story because it's a little bit of a genre mishmash that way. So it's kind of it's a fun read. It's a short read, but it's a fun read. So
Yeah.
that happened. Also, since I've met you, I've been nominated for the Nebula Award twice, which I
Yeah.
just found out about, or they just announced the second time yesterday. So this is brand new information
Oh
for the
wow.
second nomination.
Wow. Well, congratulations on
So
that.
thank you. So that's
Oh,
going well. So these, and other than that, I also have my short story collection coming out in August.
okay.
And that one's called The Astronaut Among the Flowers. So keep an eye out for
Cool.
that
Oh,
one.
very
So
cool. Wow.
lots going on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's wonderful. Like I said, I've been, kind of keeping up with things. The nomination is, of course, new
Mhm.
information. So that's great, and really glad that you've got a new release out. So that's very cool. So um, other than, like the accomplishments and the releases, what else has been going on in your life in general? Have you done any traveling? Have you done any gone to any
Not
conventions, anything
not
like
a lot of traveling since I mean, since I saw you. I think the last trip we took was just a dual family trip actually to Walt Disney World. Was
that?
probably the last time we went anywhere, and that was 2024, early 2024, I think.
Okay.
Um, so it's been a while and haven't really gone anywhere since, which is unfortunate because I love travel, but
Mhm.
it's been tough. I've got 2 kids in college now, so, so
Wow.
flights are a big expense when you've gotta pay for 2 kids in college.
Yes, I can only imagine. We aren't there, and uh,
Mhm.
have no plans to be unless something really strange happens. But but I understand all the financial
Oh, yeah.
issues that come along with that.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I mentioned at the top, lover of tea and
Mhm.
Legos. So
I've got
how
my tea right here, so that hasn't changed. It's never
uh,
too far. And, Lego, same. I'm still doing Lego builds. I
yeah.
can't remember which one was the last one I did, but, yeah, I've got my eye on, like, a couple of the sets that are coming out soon,
Uh-huh.
so
Okay.
yeah.
Very cool. Uh, thinking about your Legos, I was just thinking it would be really cool if you did if you started your own like little YouTube channel where you do Lego builds, on camera and, kind of commentary while you're doing that.
Oh, yeah.
That
I
would
bet
be
there's people
cool.
doing that. I just don't have the time, and I hate recording myself, that's the other thing. I feel so awkward. It's funny because I can do, like, an on-camera interview like this,
Yeah.
and I'm okay, but I just get super self-conscious if I'm recording myself for some reason. So, yeah, so I don't share a lot of videos on my socials, and that's basically why, but, yeah. It's a hang up, I gotta get over it.
Well, in this day and age, everybody is all about videos of themselves and doing various things, and everybody's got podcasts and everybody's got YouTube channels, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
so much noise out there, right?
Mhm. And it's so time consuming too, like, people don't realize how much time goes into it, into everything, like, I just think even just the promotional side of what I do is sometimes sometimes spend more time promoting than I actually do writing, which is, what writers hate, but we gotta
Mhm.
do.
Yeah, that's very true. Now who is publishing or who has published this latest novella?
This is Stars and Sabers Publishing here, and my next book is also through them. So,
Mhm. Okay.
and they're an independent publisher. They're fairly newish. They've been around a couple years now, I think.
Okay.
But they're doing great stuff. I love working with them. It's been amazing. So,
Oh, good, good. Yeah, that's always a challenge for writers is finding,
yeah,
a
you
good
never know.
publisher
And
and
it doesn't matter whether they're indie or big 5 or whatever, like, you can have the same problems or a different set of problems or whatever, or no problems, and it
yeah,
just really depends on each individual situation.
yeah, it does, and I guess the same thing with, editors. You can get an editor that just, just hands you stuff back with all red marks, and it's like, they don't, and then you get some that don't tell you anything. They'll just say, "Fix it," and they'll expect you to know
Yeah.
what it is you need to fix for them
Mhm.
to, take it to the next step.
Yeah.
Um, so that's a challenge. Do you have beta readers or do you have a writer
Yeah,
group?
I mean, I have fellow writers that, we send each other things sometimes. I don't always send things to them, it just kinda depends on where I am with the project. If I feel like I need more feedback or, even just a vibe check. So, like, with this one, for instance, when I first wrote it, because it's like a genre mishmash and whatever, and it's a little bit kind of like the tone of it is a little bit different from what I normally write. So when I first wrote it, I was like, is this even a story? Like, are people gonna like this, or am I just having fun and it's really nothing? So I kind of sent it out to a bunch of writers who are actually all award winners, and I was like, well, these people are gonna know whether I've got something here or not. And
Makes
the
sense.
feedback was all pretty good and whatever. So that, like, that sort of thing, like, super
Mhm.
helps a lot. And then just, yeah, I mean, sure, we all, like, and I try to give feedback when I can too. Like, it's a really, like, a symbiotic thing. Like, we're all helping each other out, which is
Mhm.
amazing. It's one of the things I love about this community is, at least in my experience, I'm sure other people might have more negative experiences, but
Yeah.
I've always come across people where we don't feel like we're in competition with each other. It's more like how can we, encourage each other and help each other level up a little bit and whatever. So it's been great.
Yeah, that's a challenge that we have heard about, from time to time on the show from other writers is finding the right circle of,
Mhm.
of writers to read your stories and to give good feedback,
Yeah,
whether it's negative or positive, as long as it's specific. I think that's one of the keys is being specific. Don't just say,
right.
"Ah, I didn't like this." You know,
Mhm.
well, what didn't you like about it?
Yeah.
Don't leave the question there for me to figure out. Tell me it was you that said that. You
That can be valuable when several people are like, "I checked out at this point. I can't quite say why, but this was you lost me here." And if you're getting that same kind of feedback from a few people, then you might, okay, they're not being specific, but you might say like, "Okay, there's obviously something in this spot that needs some help or,
yeah,
just more
yeah.
work." But yeah, in general, it's you're right. Like you do have to find people that are um kind of either, like, around your level of
Mhm.
skill or maybe a bit ahead of you or whatever, just kind of in the range So you
Mhm.
can kind of all help each other with that sort of thing. You kind of and maybe like similar kind of styles, or at least styles that kind of you get each other's work. So that can happen. Like if you're in a group, and I think every writer's probably been in a group where it wasn't a great fit. So I've never had personality clashes or anything, but I've had
Mm.
stuff where maybe you outgrow a group, or um or just you just don't like they don't get what you're writing maybe, or something. Like when I first started, I was actually my very first writers group was all literary writers here in
Mm.
Canada.
Mhm.
And I was writing science fiction at the time, so which I knew going in that they didn't have any science fiction writers before me. But because of that, sometimes they weren't quite sure how to give you feedback. Like they weren't sure, like, is this normal for this genre or whatever? Or they'd give you feedback that you kind of had to just ignore because it didn't really have any relevance to what you were doing. So that wasn't an ideal fit, but it was the choice I had at the time. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
mhm.
you're right. I mean, if you join a group where everybody's sort of writing in one particular genre and you come in writing something completely
Right.
different, you're right, they're not gonna exactly know what to do with your work. I mean,
Mhm. That's
um,
true.
but,
But you also don't want a group where everyone's just like, "Everything you do is great, yay, pat on the back." I
um
mean, it's nice to have the encouragement, but you also want somebody who's gonna be honest and say, "Okay, this isn't your best work, and here's why."
right,
So
right. Or if you do something that's really that is really good and they specifically say, like, "I really like this dialogue
right,
between these 2 characters."
totally.
That gives you a specific, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay."
Yeah, ideally, you're giving and receiving, like, a mix of feedback. Here are the things I like, here are the things that maybe need a bit more work, and
Mhm.
then, you decide as the author, what of that feedback is gonna be useful in your next draft. So, you know,
Right, right.
I've been pretty lucky with my, critique partners. Got some good ones.
That's good. That's really good.
Mhm.
Well, I wanna change gears for just a minute and talk about your new novella. Um
Mhm.
So this is kind of a departure for you, something different that you hadn't really
A little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's still science fiction,
Mhm,
um, and I have done a love story before. I don't write a lot about romantic relationships, but it's not my first.
mhm,
Um, but it's a little bit different in tone because it's retro-futuristic. A lot of it is kind of, I guess, more old-fashioned in some of, like, the situations or whatever, because it's inspired by the retro stuff. Um, I also use, like, an almost like an omniscient voice, which I don't usually use a lot in my stories, so it's kind of told almost like you would tell a fairy tale. So, several readers have compared it to that, and I've said it myself too, like, a few times. So it's kind of like actually, a reviewer said that it was like it's a story being told around a campfire kind of situation. And I did use kind of that oral tradition behind it, so it's a little bit different than how I generally voice my stories.
mhm.
Um, but, there's a lot in there that I had a lot of fun, like, just playing with the voice and just, like, you know, um, just trying something different, like being a little goofy. I spend a lot of time with some of the, like, details of things. Like, for instance, there's a big chunk where I just describe a pair of shoes, and, I kind of allowed myself to indulge in that. Not just to say, like, "Hey, look at all the research I did into shoes," but but
Yeah,
because it also says something about the characters and their situation and whatever, so it is relevant. But,
yeah,
I probably wouldn't necessarily do that normally in my work. Like, this is a little bit different that way. So
yeah. Well, what made you decide or what would I mean, I understand that the inspiration was sort of that retro
mhm.
feel that you wanted to capture, but what was the inspiration for the basic storyline?
It was almost accidental, actually.
Yeah?
It started with just me thinking, it's so weird that there's no cigarette girls anymore. Like, smoking's not really as much of a thing as it was, like, when I was a kid or
Yeah.
older. And and cigarette girls, it's like a job that just doesn't exist anymore, and I thought, how quaint, this thing from the past. Maybe one day I should write a story about a cigarette girl, and just kind of left it at that.
Mhm.
And then she kind of kept coming back into my brain, and I was thinking, like, well, okay, I need a bit more here. Maybe she's got a love interest. What does he
Mhm.
do? Maybe he's got a kind of an old fashioned sort of job, so he's a shoe shine boy.
Mhm.
And so that's how I came up with the title, Shoe Shine Boy and Cigarette Girl. And incidentally, these characters don't have proper names beyond that. They're always referred to as Shoe Shine Boy, Cigarette Girl, and then their nemesis is the man.
Ah.
Um, because in a way, they're kind of archetypes.
Mhm.
So that was done pretty deliberately. But how I started writing it was like I had the title and I was just killing time one day, and I said, "Well, let's just start writing and see where it goes." So it was pure discovery writing. So I had no plan at all for this story. I started typing, and the first thing that kind of came to me after a few paragraphs was the voice. And from there, everything kind of unfolded. That's when I realized, oh, this is a retro futuristic story, and
Mhm.
I decided I was going to set it in Toronto. And, because that's a city that's very familiar to me. So, I made obviously some changes to it, but
Yeah.
yeah, so that's basically how it got started, and I kind of discovered the story in the same way a reader will.
Mhm. Okay. Well, that's great to hear that process, and, like I said, it's a little bit of a departure, but I can remember, reading one of your short stories, and you'll have to forgive me because I don't remember the title of it, but I just remember that it was a plot that involved a search for ingredients
Oh, right.
in the galaxy, for
Yeah.
the special dish that this food critic or somebody was supposed
Yeah.
to, yeah. I remember having so much fun reading that. I wish I could remember more of the details. My memory is
Yeah,
not
the
that
title for that one is, it's How to Impress a Top Food Critic and Put Your Restaurant on the Galactic Map.
okay, there you go.
So
There
that one,
there you
yeah.
go. Yeah,
That one actually was also written as a discovery exercise,
yeah,
so it kind of just came out of me in, like,
yeah.
probably about an hour. I had the first draft of that one, and that one's like a sci-fi,
Wow.
humor story.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
very much so. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm so glad you still remember it. That's an old
Yeah.
one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. A
Well,
lot of people like that one, though, so
well, I hate to do this, but we are about out of time, so I want you to remind our audience where they can find you and your works.
well, the best place probably to keep a track of what I'm doing is my website, which is pacornell.com.
Okay.
And if you want kind of regular updates, I do have a monthly newsletter that you can subscribe to via my website. It's also like all my socials will have that in a link tree in my
Mhm.
bio. So you can find all those things there if you forget what they're called. But yeah, and then I'm pretty good about updating all that stuff. So if you like just check my website or subscribe to my newsletter, like it'll be pretty current for what's going on.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to catch up with us. It's been great
My
to
pleasure.
talk with you and hear about the things that you've been doing and the accomplishments, the accolades, and congratulations again on the
Thank
nomination.
you.
And we'll keep our eyes posted for that announcement when that comes out. Which, by the way, when will the winners be announced?
Um, I believe it's June.
Okay.
I'd have to double check. I know
Yeah.
that voting goes on to like mid-April, but I think the actual ceremony is in June.
Okay. All right.
So
Sounds good. Well, we will keep our eyes open for it.
awesome.
And again, we appreciate you taking the time to chat with me this evening. And want to thank our audience for tuning in to catch up with P.A. Cornell. I hope you have a good evening, and thanks again.
Thanks, you too.